What's up, y'all? Welcome back for another week of Therapeutic Talks, and today we're going over when you pray so hard for peace and you spring forward for so many years, and somehow when you get it, it doesn't quite feel right. It feels a bit uncomfortable. It feels new, and we're gonna get straight into it on this episode today. We got a very special guest. I was just going to introduce yourself, man.
What up, y'all? My name is Layshon Smith. I'm a rapper, singer, songwriter, and actor, sometimes dancer, and I'm grateful to be on your show.
For sure. I appreciate you coming out. So, getting more into how we started out the show, why do you feel like a lot of times once we pray for peace and we work to get peace, why does it feel so uncomfortable for us?
Because it's new. I feel like so many times, and for so many people, we grow up in environments where there's toxicity, yelling, chaos, and you become accustomed to that. You know, sometimes we are products of our environment. So when you're in a new space, you're like, you don't want this anymore. Then you finally get that peace, that serenity, and it's calm and it's still. Mm-hmm. You know, the Bible say peace be still. Yeah. But when you're still, but you're used to always moving, you're used to always being in a tizzy, like something just not being, settled, it could be uncomfortable. And I think changing itself is uncomfortable. So we pray, we ask God for growth and all of these other things, but then sometimes when we get it, we may not be ready for it.
I agree. Like a lot of times you mentioned, how change is uncomfortable. I try to get used to being uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's such a hard thing to get used to. Yeah. And when it comes to peace, you when you don't have it, all the surrounding, elements, the people and everything like that, it feels normal. It feels normal to be around people that are like avidly trying to put you down or put certain things down. Yeah. And you're like, oh, well, I'm used to this. And then when you get around people that are like trying to uplift you and support you, it feels so different. It feels like a breath of fresh air at first. Yeah. But at the same time, it doesn't really like compute in your mind what's really going on, at least to me. Yeah. And I want to know from you personally, like, when you got peace, did you feel a tad bit weird? Like, was it a little bit like off-putting at first?
Yeah, usually when I'm in an environment, whenever I'm going through that change, because that's happened to me so many times, my initial instinct is fake. And I always think like, okay, I'm always looking for the negative in something. I'm not always doing it, but whenever I find myself transitioning from one environment that may be super gritty to now I'm going somewhere else where there may be a little more calm and, there may be a little more peace, I always tell myself that it's fake. And I try to find the things that I don't like about it. I try to find the things that may be a little toxic or unhealthy. Yeah. And I'm like, see, there we go. I knew it was there, but sometimes in life, things are just what they are. People are just what they are. And I think now that's in the place that I personally am in, where I just want peace. And I've had moments where people are like, you're not really like that. Like, you're not really this calm. And then when they find out, like, this is really who I am, because I want peace. And anything that you want, you have to be that. Yeah. So if I want peace, if I want to be calm, if I want to be healthy, if I want to be, energetic, I actually have to exude that, and I have to be that and really live in that. Yeah. So I feel like things could be new to people, and I also just feel like for me, like, you really just gotta want it. If you want that peace, if you want that serenity, that serene feeling, you have to be that first.
Facts, man. I definitely agree. Like, it's not even a question. Like, you have to be what you want to be. Like, you kind of like think that I am, so therefore you become that. Right. Like, if you want to be healthy, you got to think I'm healthy, and you got to put in the actions to go forward with that. But what are some of the toxic things that you have to cut out of your life to get to having peace?
The first thing is people. Yeah. The first thing is people. Sometimes you do have to fall back from people. And sometimes it's not even necessarily falling back from people. No, sometimes it's just falling back. It's not cutting them off. Sometimes it's just falling back, like taking a break from people, space. Yeah. And some things you got to cut out are the things that you feel like aren't making you or aren't making you the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
Think the first thing is always identifying is who you are now. Where do I want to go?
Yeah.
How do I get there? And what's stopping me from being there? And so once you ask yourself those tough questions and you have those answers to it, you make those decisions. So, but for me, I always think maybe people start off with people, like what's around you, who's around you that will keep you from pushing forward and being or doing what you want to do.
Definitely, your circle is one of the most important things you can have when you're trying to spring for something better in life. And I had to learn that myself. I had to learn, you got to look at the people that surround you, but like, are these people not just beneficial to me, but are they going to spring for it themselves as well? Because if I'm springing for peace, I want all my people having peace as well. If I'm happy, I want all my people being happy.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I know I'm on my way to having it, but I want them to have it as well.
Right.
Because if we all are happy, if we all got peace within ourselves, then I feel like that just improves your circle 100-fold.
For sure.
If you are, looking back at your old self, and you're trying to figure out the root of outside of people, because we all have, people problems here and there, with relationships or whatever. What do you feel like you could have improved on earlier to help you receive the peace that you're looking for?
Personally, for me, I feel like my biggest thing was me accepting myself and me owning who I was and not caring so much about how other people may perceive me. I think that I would tell myself to like block out the noise and don't care. Be you. And whoever it is that you want to be, own that. Whatever it is you want to be, own that. Because at the end of the day, people gonna have their opinions about you, but they're not people that pay your bills
every time.
So it's like, don't care about what nobody else thinks. So I think that is what I would tell myself, and also to think before I make a lot of decisions. I used to be very irrational, and it was easier for me to lash out. It was easier for me to just bark at people,
Yeah.
But sometimes you gotta just really think like, could I have taken that the wrong way? Is that how somebody may have meant something? And I think once I started to become a little more calm and a little more content in who I was able to find that peace within myself.
Okay. So when all the toxic stuff is out, all the fighting is out, all the arguing is out, when all the drama stops, who are you afterwards?
That's such a real question, man. I wasn't prepared for that question. I think me, Layshon, I'm a caring human being, and I think I am, and I know I'm an empathetic person. I'm very empathetic, I'm very caring, and I'm very giving, but I'm also a person that I have boundaries, and I'm not afraid to stand on my boundaries. Sometimes it could be uncomfortable because I still have people pleasing tendencies.
Yeah.
But I can't please nobody else if my cup is empty. I can't give to you if I have nothing to give.
Yeah.
And I think overall, though, I do know like Sean is just a level-headed person. He's calm, he's energetic, and he's peaceful. Like all in all, that's all I want is peace.
Okay. So, a lot of times, I said peace 1,000 times this episode.
We might say it some more.
Yeah, we're going to say it a lot more. We always spring for peace. We spring for happiness. This is something that's common. We always, like, everybody wants it.
Right.
But when we actually get it, we have a bad habit of self-sabotaging it sometimes.
For sure.
And we kind of step in our own way. And it's hard to catch ourselves doing it because it's like, it's what you're used to. Like, you're already reverting back to your old ways. And like, it's hard to blame somebody to a certain degree when they self-sabotage because it's what you're used to. It's what you've known for so many years. And when you try to step outside your box, it feels like something brand new, something you haven't did. It's kind of like, I'm not comfortable with that. Let me go back to what I'm comfortable with. Have you ever stepped in your own way when trying to obtain peace? And if so, what did you do to kind of like snap back out of it?
So many times I have self-sabotaged myself. So many times I have sprung forward, then leaped back. And I just think that's human nature.
Yeah.
And as of right now in my life, I can't say I have a distinct answer for it because I'm still learning and I'm still growing. But I can say, like, if you know that you're doing it, if you can catch it, if you can say, like, take a moment, pause and say, this is starting to feel familiar to me, this pattern, the patterns that I'm experiencing or whatever, if you can catch it in that moment, stop, ask yourself what's causing that. And also, like, if you have anybody in your life that some mentor or friend or that's someone that could offer you a sound mind, have those uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
And, ask people or, ask for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help and say, I'm experiencing these feelings. I'm going through this moment. I may need help right now. And I know that I'm self-sabotaging, but I also think a lot of people need mentors.
Yeah.
Myself included. Like, I think when you're new to any space, it's okay to have a mentor. And I hope and I pray that now people can have mentors and someone that's a trusted source that they could talk about these things with, self-sabotaging, because if you have someone that you could, like, and whether it's at work or relationships or just anything, because we can self-sabotage in different ways.
Yeah.
But if you have someone that you could just talk to and say, like, I'm used to this. I'm used to being so angry. I'm used to being so irrational or whatever. I feel like I'm going back. This is what's happening. How can I change it? These are things you can ask yourself, but also ask your community, the people that are around you, the people that know you best, and maybe sometimes the people that don't know you that well. Because someone who don't know you that well will probably give you the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unbiased opinion. I
An unbiased opinion.
Yep. So do you feel like you mentioned having a mentor and everything like that? Yeah, like, for you, for instance, like, you're hopping into music, acting, all these different things.
Right.
Like, it's great to have a mentor in that aspect. Do you feel like you need another mentor outside of that for your mental, for you to be able to keep your peace, for you to be able, just hold on to those things that really keep everything together?
For sure. I definitely think I need one. I have people in my life that I do consider mentors. There was like families and friends, but I do think everyone in life just needs one person that they could just sometimes vent to, but also just seek guidance. It could be someone older, whether it's a year older, a month older, but just someone who is wise and that could give you that third party point of view, their outlook on life. But yeah, I definitely think I need one. And that's just in general. So, and it could be a therapist, but sometimes therapy is like, it's more of a professional thing, so it's hard for them to be your mentor. But I definitely do think like people in general need mentors, and I would love one. Someone I could just say like, this is what I'm experiencing, and this is what I'm going through. I need that guidance, like.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like I need a mentor too. Like, it'd be great to have a mentor to be like, hey, hey, you messing up. Like, I'm not telling you go this direction, but look at really what you're doing and see where it may lead down to. I would love to have something like that. So let me ask you this, and this question is, I've struggled when I'm coming up with questions for the show. I struggle with something. I'm like, dang, I got to think about how I would answer this question as well.
Right.
So I want to ask you, at any point, do you kind of miss the old, the old version of you that wasn't necessarily, spring for peace, the person that was involved in maybe possible toxic situations? It don't just gotta be a relationship. It could be like with friends or whatever, just family members, whatever it could be. Do you ever miss the chaos in a way?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I do sometimes. I do. And I often reflect on who that person was, because now that person cared a lot, but that person was also carefree.
Yeah.
So like now I've accomplished a lot now, so I have to move in an entirely different way than I would have back then.
Yeah.
So back then I would probably be quick to say F you to some people and not care about it. But now I'm more, I'm not gonna say F you, but I got your number. So, it's like, I got to move a little differently now. I got to think. I think now more before I react to stuff. So at times I definitely do miss that chaotic person, but at times I'm also like, I don't need to be that person no more. You know, that person got me to where I am now. If it wasn't for who I was 5-10 years ago, I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah.
But it's like I do miss the things that I was able to do and not care about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know you said 5-10 years ago. I already know, like, for me personally, 5-10 years ago, you know, I may have had temper here and there with certain stuff or whatever it may be. Like, and I put myself in situations I shouldn't have been in. Obviously, when you're young, you do dumb stuff. But I feel like now that, you know, I went through those things, it definitely geared me up for where I'm going right now.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It definitely elevated me to a level where I'm like, okay, now I can put myself in position to do so many different things. And I wouldn't have had that if I didn't have that moment where I almost lost this and that, or where, you know, it really puts stuff in perspective for you once you move out of that toxic stage of your life, that bad stage of your life where you're not particularly the happiest.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're kind of acting on emotions instead of thinking, like, with your brain, like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be doing this because this is the outcome. But so when we're talking about peace, you know, it's a real touchy subject in the sense of other people having it around you and other people not having it. So I want to know, is peace something that you preach to other people, and how much do you really tell them, hey, you need to start doing this, you need to start, like, how much do you really try to steer somebody on the right direction to kind of obtain that the same way you've obtained it before you, like, okay, I see you don't really want to do it and I'm gonna let you go, I'm gonna, you know, have my distance?
Actually, yes. Yes and no. I don't do it in my day-to-day life, but I do see it where I see fit. There was actually 2 incidents I didn't experience, but I kind of witnessed it from a distance. And there were people who were younger than me, and I had to tell them, like, you know, you got a lot of things going great for you right now. Don't let nobody ruin it for you.
Yeah.
Because I've been there before. You know, I've seen people lashing out in settings where it's like, okay, how you feel is valid, but this is just not how you go about it. And I don't speak from like a judgmental point of view, but it's from my experience. Like, it's not okay. Even in my most previous relationship, they were doing things lashing out, and I remember trying to tell them, like, this not how you do stuff. And they would tell me, like, well, you know, you used to do this, and it's like, I'm not saying it because I'm judging you. I'm saying it because I've been there. So I definitely 100% do find myself telling people, you know, let's figure out an alternative, because it's always a different way to handle something. Some things, if it could be talked out through conversation, let's talk it out. It's not, everything don't gotta be hostile. It don't gotta be anger. It doesn't have to be an argument.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people deal with stuff that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
People can have their own personal issues going on in their life, and they just may not have anywhere or any outlet. So I definitely try to tell people now to, like, give people grace, and someone irritates you in this moment, let them have it. Come back to it a day or two later, let's talk it out. Or if it's not even that big of a deal where you feel like you need to talk it out, let it go.
Yeah, definitely.
So, actually, lately I have been on some Mahatma Gandhi stuff and trying to encourage people to take different routes.
Yeah, I've tried, like, exercising that, you know, like, I may tell somebody here and there, like, hey, it's definitely a different way to go about it. It's not worth, you know, the argument, because arguing seems like it doesn't really resolve nothing. They feel like nobody is really hearing the message. They're just listening to how you're saying it.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows how to argue calmly. And if it is calm, it's not really an argument, is it? You know, like, it's more so of I don't want to say a debate, but it's just a back and forth conversation.
Most arguments are two people just arguing about being right. And it's like, two people can both be right. And nobody has to be wrong, but it's just understanding the other perspective. You and I could disagree about something right now and both be right, but it's just, am I able to understand your point, and are you able to understand mine? We both can be right about the same thing. It's just understanding someone else's point of view outside of your own, someone else's perspective.
Yeah.
And that's genuinely probably what 98% of most arguments is just being able to understand someone else's perspective.
Yeah, and people, I don't know if it feels like some people like decide to shut off their brain to other people's perspectives because they're so fixated on being right. And the thing is, right and wrong, it just feels so trivial. It's like it's not important, you know. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because chances are in a month, in a year, or whatever, it's not going to matter if I was right about this or if I was wrong about this, because if I'm wrong, I'd rather be taught right then, you know? Or like, exactly. Like, I don't want to, and that's a part of you maturing and gaining happiness and peace and all these other things is understanding that, like, one, arguments aren't really important. It's not worth having. And two, you being right or wrong about a situation, because a lot of people harp on that you're like, I'm wrong or no, you're right or I'm wrong, whatever it may be. They try to like stick on that, and I can't say I don't understand it because I've done it before. We've all been immature to a certain degree.
We've all been there,
yeah. But it just isn't really worth the hassle of, you know, getting you out your character.
For sure. I think a lot of people, when you're young, you don't really understand the importance of having morale and integrity.
Facts.
And I think that's just something that you have to go through life and experience, and you have to be put in positions to where it's like, okay, now I get it. In fact, I'm gonna tell you a crazy story. I'm gonna try to make it short, but when I was in high school, I did the talent show all 4 years. My first year, I fluked. I forgot the words to my lyrics. I forgot the lyrics to my song, and I just had to sit there to the crowd, say, "Put your hands up," and I just looked so goofy, right? But then my senior year, I had an entire amazing set, went well, like. I won, but I didn't win yet. So one of my friends, he was the host of the talent show, and there was this other amazing girl. She was a singer. She was very soft spoken though, right? And we're in high school, so I'm pretty sure when you're rehearsing, like you're confident, but then when you're actually time to perform, you know, you may not be as confident as you was in rehearsals. But we had a heckler in the audience, and he was just like made the girl cry, and my friend was the host, and he was just like being super disrespectful. And I remember bugging up, like, you know, just teeing up on them, and one thing led to another, and it was like this big brawl in the theater. And after I had just did this amazing performance, and I ended up getting disqualified because I did that.
Wow.
And even though, like, my morale was in the right place, it was just the way that I handled that. It was like, I ended up messing it up for myself, you know?
Yeah. Like,
going all 4 years in the talent show, from fluking the first year, and then actually winning or having the chance to win, and then just messing it up from one little moment of being irrational and immature. For me, that was a learning lesson for me, and I never forgot that, because I always think like, what would my life have been had I won that? You know, what could I have been able to say for myself if I had that history, instead of saying I decided to be this aggressive, tough Tony.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I would have just been smart, maybe handle my business outside of the talent show, if I would have just stuck it out and won, like, where would I have been? You know? But had I not went through that experience, I probably wouldn't be able to appreciate who I am now and how I handle situations now.
Yeah.
You know, so I think moments like that, if we don't have those moments, we don't gain the wisdom, gain the knowledge, and the experience to say, you know, I was this person, but now I don't need to be that anymore.
Yeah. Nah, definitely. People don't really look at the intentions of what people are trying to do. They more so look at the approach of it.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuck in my head when you were telling the stories. Like, you know, granted, your heart was clearly in the right place. Like, you're upset that they're being rude for no reason, being mean to this girl that's just trying to perform and everything.
Yeah.
But people always remember the approach. And, you know what I'm saying, obviously that's an event in your life where you can look back and be like, yeah, I came from, you know, doing this from a so-and-so amount of people or whatever, and now I'm way different now mentally. You know, I wouldn't even approach it that way. I would possibly pull somebody to the side or whatever. And that's a big step. You know, those are big steps to, you know, evolving as humans. That's what we do. You know, we supposed to take bad situations that we've been in and then learn from them and then keep going. So let me ask you before we wrap up the episode and everything like that. It's been, like I said, it's been a pleasure having you. This has been a phenomenal conversation. What is some therapeutic words that you would give to the audience at home about gaining your peace, obtaining it, and just overall just being you and not allowing people to knock you off your square?
Which camera are we looking at? This one right here, right?
Yep, right there, red dot.
So therapeutic words that I would give to the viewers at home is to focus on yourself. Do what's best for you regardless of anything else. Sometimes we need to put ourselves first. It may hurt, it may feel uncomfortable, but essentially, if you don't take care of you, who else will? We can't take care. Nobody's going to love you how you love yourself. And I think it's important to be able to love yourself in all types of aspects. And just, appreciate yourself.
Facts, bro. I can't put it no better than that.
For sure.
Love yourself, appreciate yourself, and continue to strive for the best person you could possibly be. You want to shout out your social for the people at home?
Oh, for sure. You guys can follow me on Instagram at _Layshon. That's LAYSHON. You could add me on Facebook, Layshon Smith. Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal. I'm everywhere. If it play music, I'm there. Also, I got some projects coming out soon. So yeah, stay in tune.
For sure. Stay in tune, y'all. The link to all his socials and music will be in the bio of this description. We appreciate y'all for sitting down and talking to us. And we're going to catch y'all next week on Therapeutic Talks.